on Salam Media.
We'll be chatting about the National Mosque in Uganda pretty shortly with a conversation to Sheikh Ilyas Kirozi, and that's part of our features, knowing from the mosques around the world. In the meantime, I'm looking at this wonderful picture post of from Penny Appeal. It talks about a penny pack where 3,000 rands will get you to feed 30 people, provide clean water to 30 people, and more. Okay, and I'm saying let's talk about Penny Appeal. They've been around for 5 years now. So what's the story behind Penny Appeal? With me is Shahnaaz Paruk, who's the CEO. Shahnaaz, appreciate your time. Salaam alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Always a pleasure to be chatting with you.
Thank you. So 5 years, my goodness. What happened? How did it all start? Were you like, give me a story of like you're walking in, on the beach in Durban, and you said like, let's do this. Is it something as crazy as that?
Maybe a little bit of it. I think they were always underlying to us and a want to create a better world and assist people, do something that was fulfilling in terms of what I thought would be a lot more fulfilling than working in retail where I was at that stage of my life. So entering the humanitarian sector, we were contacted by Penny Appeal out in the UK. They decided that they wanted to open up a Penny Appeal South Africa, and they contacted us, and we didn't take it too seriously at first. And I guess when you're looking for something that's a new challenge, you take on what's presented. And so we never looked back. Literally 5 years ago, since inception, it's something that we've registered independently in South Africa. Alhamdulillah, it's been phenomenal growth in terms of being independent from all other Penny Appeal offices. We've also managed to, survive for 5 years. And I think it's been a really challenging 3 years, let alone 5 years, if you look at everybody's history. So, I think just the want of people that were like-minded to transform lives and do good, literally.
Yeah, but it certainly does, right? I suppose in that case, your own life has been transformed from being in retail to where you are now. Just want to stay with that for the moment. I mean, so when that time came to make a call, because effectively it is a complete vocational change. I mean, now you're in the humanitarian space, and that's a space where you need to survive, you need to earn a living, but money's always tight. We know that, right? Was that? I mean, you say it came to you, but how much time did you spend, pondering over that? Do I really want to do this?
My journey in the humanitarian space actually started more than a decade ago. And retail was my first love. It was a family business that I had joined and had studied various components around marketing and business management. There comes a time where you find yourself thinking like you're looking for a bit more meaning. And I think that's when the transition happened. The concept and notion of understanding that human beings, some people, we face challenges daily. Some face more challenges than others. There are a lot more inequalities in this world that we like to admit. And I just felt that being able to give back in terms of skills in the humanitarian sector, being able to do project work and being able to engage communities and transform them is one thing. And it's a brilliant end result. But before that, there's a whole technical thing that happens in terms of who, what, how, assessments, what are we going to do, how are we going to get the funding, how do we look after that funding, who are the people we bring in to ensure that they're the best for the job. So definitely merging two worlds, that's when I realized that I wanted to be a part of this, of being able to conceptualize something from scratch, being able to use skills that you learn in corporate world, merge it to be able to use it for the greater good. And that was a big eye-opener for me, understanding that with just a bit more management and a bit more organization, you could probably get a lot better in terms of results. And the nice part about it is you're not chasing profit specifically, right? In most businesses, we chase that money, we chase that profit. Here, you're chasing to transform individuals' lives. It's a very different component.
The bottom line is different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's much different. And I think I found that a lot more fulfilling. Normally I don't need to tell you, when you're chasing, it's never enough. But with this, seeing the impact it makes on people, understanding how much harder you may need to work to reach more people, that was life-changing for me.
Okay, let's then talk about. I mean, you've used the word impact a few times. So now 5 years down the line, if you spoke to me for the first time and I'm saying like Penny Appeal, what is it? How much impact has it made? How do you answer that question?
We answered simply by saying Penny Appeals South Africa is an entity that focuses primarily on providing relief and development. With that being said, there's a range of projects that we've implemented and grown in the last 5 years, focused around food security, nutrition, education, health, work with refugees. And alhamdulillah, we've had a good portfolio of international projects spring up, um, such as food security in Somalia, which is what we're doing this Ramadan, amongst other projects. We've also focused on Syrian refugees, work in Palestine. And as I'm speaking to you today, we're actually at a distribution out in Mayfair, distributing part of our Ramadan packs that go to the elderly and vulnerable families here. So a lot that's been done with different communities in South Africa, in Southern Africa, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Lesotho. The portfolio has grown. And I think if you ask us, what is Penny Appeal? It's literally a movement for change, of bringing like-minded people together for the pleasure of our creator and also to do good and try and break down that inequality divide that we seem to have in our
Yeah,
country.
yeah, and it certainly is. I mean, I from where I sit as the head of a project called Champion South Africa, where we want to build a champion nation. I think we've increasingly seen now that one thing is trying to fix the top, but you actually have to fix. You have to build champion communities or communities into champion communities, one community at a time. And I get that that's what you're doing. You're targeting communities. You can't do it all. You target communities and you try and fix their need and then create the development that goes with it, right?
Definitely. Our initial, call to action was always small change, big difference. And we literally still ascribe to that. I'm a firm believer that no entity is able to accomplish everything or reach everyone that needs help. That is the way of the world. But if, there's focused attention on smaller areas, smaller projects, working in a manner where we're able to create the smaller changes, we're actually giving communities a start to be able to transform themselves, get a good foot to try and improve their lives. And we're hoping that that's what changes the generations to come. Having
Mhm.
value systems instilled in communities is one aspect that we aspire to, but ensuring that that is coupled with um, them having the resources to be able to live a life with dignity is a whole other conversation.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, often if I'd spoken to someone like say Gift to the Givers, the default spokesperson would be Imtiaz Suleiman. When I speak to you, it's always Shahnaaz Paruk as from Penny Appeals South Africa. But you're going to tell me, obviously, Ashraf, it's not only about Shahnaaz Paruk. There's an entire team and infrastructure that is behind my name that props up what we can do. Tell me about that.
I have an amazing team behind me, Ashraf. I mean, these 5 years have been phenomenal in terms of us networking, building networks, growing the team, expanding the brand, all of those nice things. None of it is done without committed individuals who share that vision to want to do good in this world, to want to be better, to want to make sure that they leave a legacy of being able to be a part of changing lives. It's a small but dynamic team. Our head office is based out in Windermere in Durban, and that's where all of the magic happens for planning for all of our projects, locally and internationally. We have a strong programs team, and I think, they've been really amazing in terms of community engagement. That's always been at the heart of everything we do,
Mhm.
ensuring that the projects and programs and communities are satisfied before we're able to move on with anything. So definitely a great team behind us, a great team of volunteers, Team Orange, as people may have heard of. And I think, Ashraf, you're right about the interviews all the time in terms of Shahnaaz. I think I'm going to ship some of my team members over to you for public speaking skills. I always say to them, they need to get involved. They need to, start talking about things. But really and truly, I'm humbled every single day to be able to be a part of this team. And I'm a firm believer that the Almighty chooses who's sent to do this type of work. And without them, really, none of this would be possible.
Absolutely. And then let's end with this. I mean, you used the point about you said that's where the magic happens. And coming from a retail background, and even now you know about marketing and trying to create that USP, right? In a world where the need is massive in South Africa, Southern Africa, the continent of Africa, and around the world, but also in a world where there are, in fact, hundreds, if not thousands, of humanitarian organizations, some very big, some of them very small, each one impacting in their own way, right? I would think that you also do need to create that USP, right? So that unique selling proposition or point. And therefore, my point to you, when you say this is where the magic happens, right? What on reflection is the magic around Penny Appeal? I mean, there's something that sets you apart that gets me talking to you today and not somebody else.
I think primarily the magic is around the intention. I'll be really honest with you. I say this to my team regularly: renew your intention. Let's look at what is our intention. And from that, the intention is simply to serve humanity, to serve communities and individuals. With that being the focal point of everything, that's actually the magic, because then everything you do is feeding into that. The campaigns that we focus around, the assessments that we do in communities, where are we going to work, what type of aid are we going to do. It assists us to raise funds, which is a huge component of what we do. A very difficult part of what we do, soliciting funds to be able to enable the projects to happen. So definitely that's a big part of it. But I also think being able to walk that very, very thin line of being able to engage with donors or engage with our stakeholders in a way that they know that everybody is valued and everybody is welcome. Often there used to be a consensus that charitable giving had to be a big gesture and it had to be amounts that were acceptable. And we're saying no. Small change, quite literally, big difference. We're saying it's okay if you're donating 20 Rand a month. It's okay if you're donating to a project close to your heart for 100 Rand a month. Everybody's welcome, because our Creator looks at your intention. So you see, it goes back to the intention even of those that donate to us. So it's a matter of weaving that golden thread through all of these thoughts, from how can we tell a story in a dignified manner? How can we engage with communities to ensure they feel respected and that the work we do leaves them in a better space than before we found them? And weaving the thread, telling everybody or making them believe quite literally that, it's the small changes that make the big difference, and being able to motivate a positive environment. We want to bring about positivity in the work we do. So,
and you certainly do that well. I think it's a good way to end. We want to bring about positivity. Well, thank you for your time. Firstly, Shahnaaz, let's pray that inshallah 5 years becomes 50 years, but also, and 500 years. But we also look back and say, look at these, small change, big difference, and look at the impact it's made in effectively narrowing and eliminating inequality around the world, and not just in South or Southern Africa. And I'm sure that's what you want. So thank you for your time. And best wishes on that 5-year mark, and may the success grow. From my side, let me tell you what, I made a note already about renew your intention. I've written it down on my notes here, because it's a quote that I want to keep. But I'll tell you now that as we end the show, just now we have a debriefing, then it's Jummah, and instead of Jummah lunch, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to take a closer look at Penny Appeal. Not that I don't know about you guys, but I'll have a closer look at the work of Penny Appeal, and that's my gesture to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashraf. Much appreciated. And also to those listening and you, remember to follow our journey on Penny Appeals South Africa. That's the key, because we're proudly South African, first and foremost. And inshallah, we'll hear from you soon. It's been really good speaking.
Perfect. There we are, Penny Appeal South Africa, and the head of that organization, the CEO there, Shahnaaz Paruk. Take a closer look at Penny Appeal. Renew your intention, as Shahnaaz says, number one. And the other one, small change, big difference. Doesn't that strike a chord in your heart? Small change, big difference. But what about the mosque in Uganda? We'll talk about that, the National Mosque, as the last thing we do on today's show.